Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Fantasy Football Fallout. This is where I watch every single game, every play, every week, trying to find you the fantasy football diamonds in the rough to take your team from obscurity to championship, baby. So today I'm going to be talking about the Baltimore Ravens versus the Arizona Cardinals. And so let me just say, let's just start with this. I thought Arizona, and I do so against the spread stuff and some pick'ems and all that. Baltimore came in as 13-point favorites. Arizona on the road, Baltimore at home. And I thought that there wasn't a chance that Arizona was going to be able to cover this spread. I'm not somebody who always lays that points. And the 13 to me is something I would never do as a bettor. But I just didn't think this offense was going to be able to work against this defense. But what I've been saying all offseason with respect to Kyler Murray and this offense, all offseason, preseason games, even last week against Detroit, is defenses are going to crash up on Kyler Murray and make him prove that he can throw the ball kind of intermediate and deep. Well, he did that this week. This is a huge deal. It's a huge deal for Cardinals and Cardinals fans. Last week I thought that the Cardinals took advantage late in the game against Detroit, against kind of a tired defense, playing a prevent style defense, and they made it work. Well, Baltimore, I just didn't think that Baltimore, with their aggression, were going to do that. Man, they played great. Kyler Murray is hitting those intermediate routes. He's hitting those deeper routes. And yeah, Baltimore came in with a game plan, obviously, of trying to limit David Johnson, and they did just that. I think he was 7 carries, 14 yards or something like that. Oof, brutal game. But that's something that I expected that kind of stuff to happen, because until Murray pushes them and makes teams start paying for crashing up on those routes, they're going to continue to do that. This is why I think if you're a Cardinals fan, you should be excited today, because he did that. And so what's going to happen as we see this offensive system progress. First of all, Kyler Murray did great. He didn't have many, if not any, balls batted up at the line of scrimmage, which is something I thought would happen. Again, another reason why I picked the Ravens incorrectly to cover this spread. I thought the Ravens were going to have a defensive touchdown this week, and they didn't. And there you go. There's the cover right there. But Kyler Murray, man, he's hitting Larry Fitzgerald. He's hitting Christian Kirk down the field. Defenses have to play honest now. They can't just crash the line of scrimmage. So we're going to see, as the weeks progress, David Johnson is going to have more running room. He's going to have more out of the backfield catches. It's not just going to be a lot of 3-yard, outs, and these little hitches and all that. Bird at receiver, Bird and Keyshawn Johnson, I think, are good, but they're more daily fantasy budget plays. If you're looking for somebody maybe just to kind of insert in your lineup there because you're investing in some higher players, that's probably the best. I wouldn't pick either one of those guys up in fantasy. Kirk and Fitzgerald should both be long gone by now. Kyler Murray might still be available if you're in a team with a shallow bench. He's a guy now, 300 yards in 2 straight games. I think he had 40 attempts, somewhere around, I think it was like 349 yards, some rushing yards. That's a guy that you're going to want to have on your fantasy team now that he's pushing the ball. And yes, he's going to have some games where he throws like 3 interceptions. It's going to happen too. Okay, he's going to have some of those balls. He's a shorter guy. Some balls are going to be batted up at the line of scrimmage. There are going to be like some pick sixes every now and then. It's going to happen. But what we've seen him is he's evolved into, I would say, the next level of that young quarterback. And I thought it was going to take maybe, after watching the whole preseason, I thought it was going to take maybe somewhere between 4 and 8 games. I thought he looked really good. To me, he's a little bit further along than I thought he would be. Now, if you had higher expectations as a Cardinals fan, I understand it. But really, I think you should be very excited about the future. Fantasy football, like I said, there's not really a lot that I would pick up. I don't think there are any gems out there for you. Daily fantasy, again, Keyshawn Johnson, maybe maybe Bird, and David Johnson, maybe his budget will come down in daily fantasy. Maybe you have an owner who's getting antsy that has David Johnson. He could be a nice trade target for you. So there's my fantasy football fallout for the Cardinals. Now for the Ravens, let's just start with Lamar Jackson. I thought he looked good, okay? By the way, 120 yards rushing. You gotta like that if you own him, right? Those are those fantasy football bonus yards for a quarterback, I call them. The rushing yards are worth more than passing yards. It's good to see that. You don't like to see him leave himself susceptible to hits, but he does a pretty good job of getting down, getting out of bounds and all that, and not taking those. So that's good news. I thought the tight ends, they seem to be probably one of the more stronger pieces of this offense. Mark Andrews still looks good. Hayden Hurst and Mark Andrews both got in the end zone. I think that's going to be a trend. You're not going to see, Mark Andrews ever dominate or Hayden Hurst ever dominate. They're both two very good tight ends. And it really, the ability, we saw this with the Patriots way back in the day when they they had Gronkowski and before Aaron Hernandez really kind of ruined his life and a bunch of other people's lives. But that offense is hard to stop because you have two tight ends, you can block and run, which Baltimore definitely wants to do, and those guys can both go out and catch the ball. I mean, it's a very, very tough offense to combat against. You add in and sprinkle in a guy like Marqise Brown, who still looks electric. Didn't find the end zone this week, but obviously just a guy that Lamar Jackson will take shots to. I got him. I hope you got him on waivers this week. I got him on waivers this week. Inserted him right into the lineup. Loved it. So he's going to be a really good, sustainable guy going forward. Mark Ingram had a down game. He got a little bit banged up, I think, early in the game. Gus Edwards, Mark Ingram, they'll bounce back. Don't worry about that. Arizona was trying to stop the run as well. Lamar Jackson beat him. It was a lot closer of a game than I thought it would be. Elsewhere at receiver, I haven't talked about the other guys. I still think Boykin is better than Snead. I don't think either one of those guys is one that I would want to own on my fantasy team at this point. Again, maybe if you're in a deeper league with a deeper bench than I am, maybe that's somebody you want, one of those guys. Boykin would be my guy, not Snead. But yeah, Mark Andrews looks fantastic. He'll probably be long gone in your league, but if you can grab him, do so. Marqise Brown, love him. And, Gus Edwards might be somebody you want to pick up too. He had a nice, a pretty decent game. I think Mark Ingram had a decent game, but Ingram's been banged up the last couple weeks. They might lean on Gus Edwards, so he's another guy if you're looking for maybe for a daily fantasy kind of waiver play. He'll be involved in the game plan. Maybe not as involved, but again, if you're just looking for one of those guys to insert, he's a good one. So if you could, that takes us through the episode here. If you could subscribe, there should be a red button on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. I have a playlist up here where I'm going through all of the fantasy football fallout, episodes from this week, where I'm talking about every single game, like I say. And then you can also hit our icon in the upper left where you can subscribe. It's our Underdog logo. You can subscribe to the channel. We're trying to hit our 1,000 subscriptions. We're trying to hit our 4,000 hours of content so that we can be officially YouTube partners and start growing this channel even more. So if you like us, support us, please like, comment, subscribe. I'll be interactive, and stay tuned for another episode. Thanks.